better word. Stress is stress, right? It is a clinical terminology. It was adopted from industry, right? There was the word stress came from industry where they put in blocks of a metal and put it under pressure, and the metal cracked where the weakness are. So if you take that dichotomy and use it to children, all of us grow up with weaknesses and strengths. You as a parent, especially where you spend a lots of time with your child, should identify your child's strengths and weaknesses. You should know how emotional the child is. You would know as an educator that children in your classroom will cry immediately. There are children that won't cry at all. And the same children, if you put them, in a serious situation of tragedy, the emotional child will cry out. The child that is not so emotional, these are the blue chips we talked about in Ayurvedic science later, earlier in the program. So what we're going back to the blue chip. There are some people that have a very good threshold for stress. I know inspectors that went to schools will stress teachers out to a point where the female teachers urinate in the classroom under that condition. Under stress, which means those teachers couldn't handle the stress and the pressure that the inspectors were putting them on. Now we're comparing teachers and inspectors. What about the child in the classroom? We forgot about the child. So I think parents must take time off. Now parents are chasing money. You know what I mean? Most parents are like part-time parents to the child. So they don't know. The children come home, they're exposed to the nanny, they're exposed to the maid. By the time the mother comes home, it's late 9 o'clock. It's too late to integrate with the child and, to spend time with the child. So the poor child is exposed to a lot of stress factors. Now, there are 3 primary stress hormones called cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. And these are released by the adrenaline gland. And you must know all children have this adrenaline gland. And you know about the fight and flight story. Some children will have a fight, they can fight back. Some children will have to run away from the fight. Now, all children have this adrenaline, and they're exposed to stress factors from time to time. But we as parents, we have a role to play. And I think we're not playing in a modern day age. We are not playing as parents as the parents played in those days that we grew up. We had a total interaction of the parent with the child. But now, with modern education, where parents are middle-class people, who are affluent and academics, I'll give you an example. I know of a doctor who committed suicide. He burnt himself to death. Why? His stress index was such that he was prone to stress factors. He couldn't fight stress. So he wasn't taught how to handle stress. That is why I told you at the outset, this topic should be a topic for the whole year. We must teach our children how. If we teach our children how to handle stress, I think our suicide rate will be null.
Yeah.
You agree with me?
Exactly. Do you know, for parents out there, even adults and teachers, what are some early warning signs parents and teachers should look out for to know that a child is
early warning
experiencing
signs?
stress? Yeah.
Right. Okay. It is like finding out the blue chip. That's what you're finding out. Take you have a daughter, and you saw her in crisis modes. You saw her in modes where tragedy is taking place at home, etc. And then she's reflecting how she orientates to stress. And by that time, you would pick up some of the blue chip because it's not your parameter, to identify that. Fortunately, in the Ayurvedic science, we can pick up stress in 3 seconds. That is how I got the job at Westfield campus. They asked me a question: why should we employ you when we have doctors, etc.? I said, if you can do what they can do, then I don't have to be on your staff. They asked me, what can I do? I said, I can identify stress. They gave me 10 people to identify stress. And I identified the stress in 3 seconds. But just doing the Ayurvedic science and the technique, looking at the tongue.
Exactly.
Now, it is a knowledge we can share. When I went to Turkey, they're still using knowledge 1200 years BC. South Africa, we've gone so modern, we colonized. We're using the European model still ever and ever. Right? I was invited by Venda University. I reckon you're a black university. You fly in the South African British flag here, which means you're using the model of the Britishers, which was a disaster education. They didn't have a university of their own. They used the University of Africa. Africa had the university before Europe had. So why we are copying the whites? We've got so much of knowledge, so much of background knowledge. Indians come, from a background with a lot of science. And where do you get a Professor 11-year-old? India. Did you hear of it anywhere else in the country?
No.
So it means that we have got a lot of knowledge that we can use. Why are we not borrowing the sciences from other places and using it to our advantage?
Exactly.
So children's stress in the classroom is a serious issue because children come in, they put now we're sending our kids to the high-end schools, where we're paying, I know my son pays about 24,000 for two children a month in a school. Now, you must know you're putting pressure on the teachers as well because the child is paying 24,000 a month. So there's the expectation. So there's a stress not only on the child, there's a stress on the teacher as well.
Yeah.
The teacher must deliver. Now that is happening in all the private schools as well. So at the same time, you get the lower end situation. Now that you talked about the early signs of stress in a child. The early signs is they cry too soon. That when they cry too soon, you must know the stress index is low. They are emotional children, they are loving children, they can give the last sandwich to a neighbor and starve. That is the profile of a child who's got stress index that is very low.
Yeah.
Right? The other child, you must know there are types of children. The other child is the mean child. He won't share his lunch. He fight. He can defend himself. He's a fighter in the class. He's a naughty child, etc. And his stress factor is such that he can handle stress.
Yeah.
He can get a couple of blows in school and he won't talk about it. But the emotional child will come home and still cry after the incident. So those are early warnings.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll find that the child that is an emotional child with a stress index that is high is normally a child that puts on weight. He gets weight gain easily. So you can look at your children in the classroom and you can see the child, the plump and healthy child and so on. Take a test and see. And you put that child under a little bit of pressure and you see he'll cry.
Yeah.
But the other child that is slim and twiggy and looking like a Barbie doll, they won't cry easily. Right? And they can handle stress. Now you see in modern age, there are single parents in vogue. And most of the single parents are parents that can handle stress. That's why they become single parents. Otherwise, they wouldn't be single parents. So this stress factor, you can see it early in a child. And the parent's role is to spend more time with your child. Be a friend, be a confidant, be a playmate, be a teacher, you must be an all-round. I grew up 3 boys, 3 model children. You saw some of my children. Don't drink, don't smoke. They spend their time in crisis centers, feeding people, etc. Now, at the end of the day, what education should teach you? They should teach you how to live with people. In the modern day society, are you getting that? We've got the crime rates in Gauteng and KZN that are competing with ICE. We got court cases for crime from police that are in the topical situations of high news. Now the crime is so high. Now, why should crime should be so high? Basic thing is we haven't taught our children loving qualities, relationship, how to establish relationships. If they establish relationship, their marriages won't go into pieces. Right? We can't establish relationships. We're getting self-centered children. Our new generation is very self-centered. They earn money, they achieve their aspirations, they'll buy the best cars on the country, They are any people, they don't know their neighbor.
True.
Is that what education is all about? Education is to teach you how to earn money and to how to live. We fail in both. Isn't it?
Exactly. True. Do you know, when we're looking at mental health, how does academic pressure impact a learner's mental health, the academic pressure?
You see, the academic pressure, you're going to go back to the drawing board where you're going to get different types of people. That is why it's sometimes an advantage to have schools that are such that orientate to the children's kind of progress. They're not externally controlled. So some children that are on the borderline go to a special independent school where they matriculate with the 6 A's and 7 A's. I saw it in the paper last year, right? And those same children, if you put them in a normal school, they would have failed matric. There's one girl that came out in the media and stated that, we don't identify children at an early age. And she's a mother, and she was crying in this media saying that if my child was in a normal school, my child would have been a failure. So our schools are not structured for all types of children. Let's face it. Yeah. Right. We come end of the year, matric results, the children are in their toes, they are stressed, some children commit suicide, some of them take to drinking, etc. Because we never nurtured our children in the direction that they are different. They operate at a different level. And we have to recognize that level. Each child is different. You can gain successes, but you can gain success at your own pace. It's like the race of the tortoise and the who wins the race kind of thing, right? And now the academic world has changed differently. Who achieves 7 A's, the greatest king. But the point is, the child who doesn't get 7 A's may be a better person, a better personality, more emotionally balanced than the high flyer, right? So what do we want from a child? We want a balanced child. We want a child that grows up with, not, eccentric habits. A child that is admirable in every sense. Is that what we're seeing now in modern age? But we're seeing some, very elite middle class people's children involved in drug dealing, etc. Right? So that is what now we want to achieve with our children. So early warning signs is the relationship with your child. So the child grows up warmly with lots of love. You must go to a school where love is still thrown out. You mustn't go to school. I went to a school and did a orientation course for the matrics. And one student said, the teacher comes and flings the books in our classroom, And then I discovered it's a menopausal teacher. She doesn't have any support structure. She's a single parent, etc. So you not only children are getting stressed out, teachers are also having their own stress factors that are, the children are picking up now. So you got a stressed teacher that are stressing children as well. So not only children are stressed, teachers are equally stressed as well. So what we're doing to support our teachers, nothing. We've got no structures that support our teachers. And I tell you, teachers are the most important kingpin in society. You don't have teachers, you don't have anything. You don't have doctors, you don't have engineers, nothing. So what have we? We haven't given the person who teaches a child. China, a teacher gets 60,000 a month teaching children in China. South Africa, you'll get 15,000 teaching stressful children.
Well, I
Right.
think
So
that,
we don't recognize the
since
worth
you
of a
talk-
teacher.
since you're talking about stress, a message came through. Government teachers are very, very stressed now that the medical aid is gone so up higher than the annual increase, and that's stress alone. But then we're going to go to hospital and pay double. So yeah, the stresses just continue. Well, we'll be taking a short ad break, and inshallah, we will continue, Mr. Francis.
Thank
Radio
you.
Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
You are listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
At this time of trial and worry, the blessings of charity are the ideal means to avoid calamity and despair. The Al Imdad Foundation gives you the opportunity to sponsor a share in a borehole in South Africa for just 1,000 Rand and provide what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called the best form of charity. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Umrah this July school holidays with Shore Mirage Travel. 14-night early bird special from the 1st to the 15th of July 2026 or 10-night super special from the 7th to the 18th of July 2026. Packages include return flights ex-Johannesburg on the world's #1 airline, Qatar Airways, Saudi visa, transfers, accommodation and guided ziyarats. Contact us for the super low prices. Limited seats are available. Call 031 208 4222. Shore Mirage Travel, your trusted partner for a seamless Umrah journey.
Radio Al Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM. Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
You are listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, welcome back to School Matters right here on Radio Al Ansar on 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Peter Maritzburg. Our topic this evening is new term. As you know, the majority or most of the schools go back tomorrow, even the educator. So it's a new term, new pressure, coping with school stress. How does the learners cope with school stress? How does the teacher? I know this evening, lots of educators are depressed. Messages are coming through. They just don't want to go to school. So teachers feel just like the learner. And our guest, who we linked up all the way from Limpopo, is Mr. Peter Francis, our Ayurvedic practitioner. No first time to School Matters. Yes, so we were talking about that. Mr. Francis, what simple daily habits can learners adopt to manage stress better?
Well, you need a zigzag timetable for each child. You know, what when you come home, what you're going to do. The child must, there is a physical factor. He comes home hungry. So you must have things that are wholesome, that are, will energize the child. You mustn't have last night's food for today. Last night's food for last night must be thrown away. There's no energy. 50% of that energy is gone. So you shouldn't be keep last night's food for today. Give it to them. Give it to somebody who don't have food at all. So you have a zigzag timetable indicating first half an hour you have something to eat, drink, etc. And the child must know that after that he must get on to schoolwork for till 4 o'clock. You give him a plus minus timetable that it allows flexibility. Now, if his mother at home, it'll help the child. If his dad at home, it'll help the child.
So time management.
Now, some maids are so clued up they can teach, on distant learning and so on. So it helps the learner. But what happens to the child that is left without the mother and is left with the maid that can't even speak English? You make she and he for the genders, right? Now he learns a warped kind of English language because the maid can't speak English. So time management is important.
Exactly.
So you have to teach your child from early days, from grade 1, about time management and when to use cell phones and when not to use cell phones. I see you gave me an indicator about procrastination, sleep, sleep, etc. So I'm going to touch on those things that it will help the child. So time management, the child must know by 4, 5 o'clock, he must have a bath and finish and he must be ready for the next day. He must have that kind of, guidelines. So that even the maid must know that this is what's going to happen. And the child that's procrastinating is a child that is also an emotional child.
Yeah.
So you're getting an identification of children here. You would notice, take a special note in your classroom with the children's homework and go to the child that's very, very emotionally inclined, and you'll find that he's a big procrastinator as well. Not that he likes procrastinating, but he this is part of his blue chip. He is an adrenaline child. He'll do the work the eve of the due date. You know, lots of people that do that. The assignments due to 12 o'clock tonight, they are doing the assignments today, right? And they're submitting it 1 minute before midnight. So you get that child, right? So in that sense, you are also identifying who is the child and what the child is. Then you get a child that is very orderly. So you must know that child you can depend upon. You know, the child, even if you look at the personal life of the child, the room you walk into, the clothes are neat and packed and tidy, etc. Right? Now that child you must know is a child that has a good stress index as well. Right? Now modern science doesn't indicate that. That is from Ayurvedic science. So I'm passing on to you, telling you this is how you identify these people. They are also workaholics. They like to do things orderly and they like to get things done on time, right? So children that are sleeping late and watching TV, and playing games should be discouraged, because on a weekday there should be no TV, there should be no cell phones. I communicate with my grandchildren only on weekends because there's no cell phone communication on weekdays. So which is a good thing. Right. So, but most of our children, you see them in the restaurants, they come with the pads, the iPad, they're sitting in one corner and they're playing with the games there. Not that it's bad, but it's overdone.
Yeah.
Technology and AI coming into place, it's fine. But the point is, we must have parameters now, when you use it, when you don't use it. So they're becoming antisocial children. They can't establish relationships because they spend more time on the cell phones. They spend more time on the pads. Now, what can a digital contraption do for you to establish emotional relationships? Can do zilch for you. So we're producing now a new type of child. Although we're welcoming this artificial intelligence, but the disaster is that, what we can do in 15 hours, an artificial intelligence takes 3 days. So who's the greater person? It's not the artificial intelligence contraption, it is the person itself. So we are beyond the computers. Yeah. So we can do things that beyond the computer. Right, we're still depending on artificial intelligence. We are welcoming it. We're going to become like robots. Yeah. Let's face it. We're going to produce like sausages in terms of children. We don't want that to happen. We must save the day. So time management, procrastination, sleep deprivation is a serious issue. If children are sleeping late at night, then you are you see, we get a day hormone and we get a night hormone. The day hormone is produced by your brain, right? The night hormone is produced by your gut. So if you don't sleep, you don't have sufficient sleep, then you must know those hormones are going to be deprived, right? And sleep deprivation can cause lots of things in the classroom. It can cause a lot of, not focusing well. It can affect the concentration mode. It can affect the grasping of, if they're doing mathematics, the steps, the losers, the stepwise kind of progression, etc. So it's very important. And social media is playing its funny part in terms of how the children are coping with stress, how they're coping in the classroom, etc. So we need to take serious cognizance of the fact that digital operation is going to affect children immensely if there's no control.
And I think lots of parents are guilty of that. I mean, I'm also.
Yeah.
It has become like naughty, iPad. Want to eat, iPad. Want to sleep, iPad. You busy, iPad.
Yeah.
And, it's like life is moving so fast. And if you're going to stop, you feel like you're going to be left behind, even if you are a parent too.
No, you have to have time. You have to have time, quickly, very quickly before we run out of time. Now, you must know meditation, which is a prayer.
Yeah.
Now, in the Muslim hadith, they talk about 5 times prayer. Now, 5 times prayer means you're going to pray and meditate for 5 times. Now, it helps stress management. It helps, that means you're forced to pray, right? You are forced to pray. In fact, if it wasn't in the hadith and the Prophet didn't say that, etc., we wouldn't have prayed. We'd only pray Eid time. We would only pray in Ramzan time. We'd only go to the mosque Ramzan time. But now we're forced to. So we need to do something where we enforce children that this is the program. This is the time to pray. You leave everything down and you go pray. Now, the prayer posture is a physiological phenomena to help you to digest food and for your bowels to work correctly. The Prophet must be a genius to have developed that posture for praying. So if you do the gist of a prayer and you bend down, etc., and wake up and so on, you are helping the physiology. And then you're helping your mental capacity to reduce the stress hormones, which affects the blood pressure and it affects the heartbeat. Now, when you stress, your heartbeat rates, it races. When you stress, your blood pressure flies in the sky. Now, I did an experiment on a patient who was meditating. You'll be shocked if I tell you the figures that I came across. But while he was meditation, the blood pressure, which is a normal blood pressure of 120 over 80, was 67 over 37 after meditation. That is a phenomenal figure. 120 over 80 is a normal blood pressure. Put the person under meditation to pray and take his blood pressure, it's 67 over 37. So which means whether you're Muslim or Christian or whatever religion, you should be praying half the time of your life because it reduces stress. Now, we don't emphasize that, right? Well, fortunately, some religions emphasize it, but some religions don't emphasize. Some people don't pray in their lives. They say the God doesn't exist. And take a note of their lifestyles and see how many of people in that family were gone astray.
Yeah.
So prayer, you need to, we have a triangle. We have the body, the mind, and the spirit. The body we feed, right? The mind we feed. Now, we must feed the mind with positive kind of things, primarily. You must become mindful of positive things. And then, of course, you have your spirit, which is your relationship with God. So that triangle can't be a broken triangle. You can't go in this life not praying. You can't go in this life not eating properly, because you need to feed the human body. You need your physiology to be fed. You need the psychology part of your brains to be fed with positive things, etc. So we neglecting it. Go to the mosque and see how many people in the mosque in the normal day now. We shifted away from the 1960s to the, 2025, we can count the people in the mosques. In 1960, when I was growing up, the mosque was overflooding. Grey Street, the people are standing outside the mosque and praying. That is not the scene now. So our stress factor has gone out of hand because we have now become imbalanced individuals. Yeah. So we must identify our children, need to spend more time with our children. The interface time is non-negotiable. Yeah. You must spend time. You must need to know how your child spent in school, what's his problems, etc. Who's bossing him, who's telling him what at school. You must become a friend, confidant. You mustn't have this autocratic kind of attitude as a parent. Then you're going to lose your child to somebody else.
Yeah. Tell me, what advice would you give?
Of course, we need to know the foods that will help us with the stress factors and what is the good foods to eat while we can reduce stress. Salmon is one of the good foods to eat, which has a lot of omega-3. If you give a sick person a salmon, they will recover in 24 hours. Leafy green vegetables are the best foods that you can have. They reduce cholesterol, they reduce the pressure, right? The heart, they develop the heart so that their heart is not weak. Eggs are essential for cognitive development. Berries is non-negotiable. All the berries, strawberries, gooseberries, blackberries, non-negotiable. Salty fish is more healthier than fish from the dam. Don't ask me why, but the thing is, the dam fishes, not they feed on just about everything. The fish in the sea doesn't get doesn't eat contaminated food easily because the salt content in the sea kills the bacteria. The nuts and seeds are important. The nuts that you should recommend is walnut. It looks like a brain. It has the convolutions of the brain. Then lean beef is very healthy. Color vegetables gives you a very good skin, good body, and good face. Cosmetically, you won't find pimples on your face if you have a lot of color vegetables. Hydration, you must have 5 to 6 glasses of water.
Yeah.
And now, people don't drink water because they don't want to use a public toilet. You don't use a public toilet, you're going to soon suffer with diabetes and blood pressure. Just remember that.
Yeah.
So the body needs, the brain is a muscle. And it needs hydration. So you because you're going to the mall now, you're not drinking water because you don't want to use a public toilet, right? So you are compromising your health for the wrong reason. So carry the water, drink as much water as possible, and you find your bowels work well. Gut is important. If your gut is clean, then your brains will be clean.
Yeah.
Right? If your gut is giving you problems, then your brains will give you problems. I've got patients with gut problems, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, so it's important. You can't use all the modern drugs to clean your gut. That's not going to help you. You can use food. Jeera, the fennel seeds. The fennel seed, you put it in hot water and drink it every night. You'll have a clean gut. Take tamarind, and the one that you use to cook the fish. Tamarind, I don't know what's the other name for tamarind. Anyway, if you put a piece of tamarind in boiling water, it look after your liver, your kidneys, your bladder, your urinary tract, and so on. So imagine you dry cleaning your liver with just a piece of tamarind. And now you get several people with liver malfunctions. You get several people with bladder infections, etc. Unfortunately, the female physiology is such that they pick up infections easily. So some of the things that they can use is parsley water, make parsley tea. And parsley reduces infection in the urinary tract. But don't forget the tamarind water. Tamarind water is a magic water, right? It's not expensive. You buy tamarind, put it in the boiling water, drink the water in the morning. The first thing, it'll help your bowels, your gut, your liver, your urinary tract.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what can teachers do in the classroom to ease the pressure on learners, even themselves? What can we do? The day is so stressful.
We didn't touch we didn't touch on music. Now, what music does, if you play, let's say you give an assignment to children to do in the classroom, play some soft music. Now, the soft music has a impact on the brain frequency, right? What it does, there's alpha waves in the brain. It induces these alpha waves to relax. Now, in the modern school, music is not used at all to reduce the stress factor, not at all. That shows where is all our academic research, right? Now, in Ayurvedic medicine, we call it Gangra Veda, which means using music as a medicine for the brain. So you can relax the brain. What I told you earlier about meditation and reduction of blood pressure, the same effect can be done with music. So play very soft music in the classroom and see what reaction you get from your children. They don't want to talk because they're listening to the music, they're enjoying the music. And you must know there's the part of the brain that is, if you don't expose it to good music, with sound waves and so on, that part of the brain dies.
Yeah.
So why kill that part of the brain when you can activate that part of the brain? So expose it to sound, lovely sound.
And all religions
right?
have
Now,
meditation. With us, it's zikr. There's different things, you know what I mean? And we tend to not do it, but that's form of relaxation.
yes, if you go to Chopra Foundation and you find that they did a research recently with Duke and Harvard, and they found with the 14 people they put in a clinical experiment on meditation, they found a tremendous increase in the immune system. So think about it for cancer. How are you going to increase your immune system for cancer? Just pray.
Yeah.
And we do it accidentally. We tell the people you pray. But how can a person who is in a cancer mode pray? So you pray for that person because you have the energy to pray. And you can transmit that energy into that person. You can be a change in that person's life. Right? So we're not doing this. In the early days, in the 60s and all, you'll find when anybody was sick, the whole public will go there and create a nice kind of vibration, or playing atmosphere. Now you don't even see them around, right? So we have changed negatively.
Yeah,
we have progressed technologically in a very fast area, in a pace that is unbelievable. Now, we grew up in the analog period. We saw the computers come. We saw the digital thing come. We saw the AI coming and so on, people flying to the moon, etc. We saw all that period. But we know retrospectively what has happened to people. So the stress factor, I was telling you, you should have the stress factor for the whole year.
exactly.
Let's teach our children how to combat stress. We teach them how to combat stress. They will be high flyers. They'll eat well. They'll learn to relax well. Exercise is essential in relaxation. It changes the heartbeat, the pressure. Take a walk sometimes. You can't sit sedentary thing. Make sure it gives you a loafer's heart. You can die of a loafer's heart if you sit all your life. So you must walk at least 20 minutes a day. So exercise is essential. You must go to the gym. I go to the gym about 2-3 times I'm 78 and I do 800 meters twice a week.
Yeah.
Now it's non-negotiable. You want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So it's an investment. We invest a lot of money in our retirement, but what do we invest in our lives?
Exactly. Mr.
Right?
Francis,
We don't invest a lot.
finally, what message of encouragement would you like to leave with learners' education facing this new term, the second term of 2026? What words of encouragement from a wellness
For the
point
child or the teacher or the
Everyone.
parent?
For the parent,
I think
for the
all three
teacher,
of them make it
learner.
part. The learner should get into some zigzag timetable mode where he knows what he's going to do next and next and next. And you must bring the parent into the equation. So the parent is equally educated as what the child does. So it'll lessen the burden of the stress factor in the parent and the child.
Yeah.
So the parent got a role to play, the child got a role to play. And if the child is become more orientated to a kind of program, he'll be a less stressful child in the classroom. And it'll reduce the stress factor in the teacher as well. So the parent plays a crucial role.
So, tomorrow everyone is going back to school. And so we just need to be positive and find ways to just de-stress and relax and just continue with the day. Your contact details, if someone wants to contact you for advice.
It's still 082 33 57 563. I'm coming to Durban to run some free workshops on stress factors, so I'll give you the dates as well.
Okay, lovely. We'll tell it to
But people can contact you so that we get the numbers for the workshop.
Okay. Mr. Francis, thank you so much once again, linking up all the way from Limpopo. And may the Almighty bless you for all that you do. Take care.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Well,
Bye.
as we come to the end of tonight's show, we're reminded that while a new term brings new challenges, it also brings new opportunities for growth. resilience, and success. To all our learners and educators out there, you are capable, you are stronger than your stress, and you don't have to face it alone. Take things one step at a time, ask for help when needed, and remember that progress matters more than perfection. A big thank you to our guest, Mr. Peter Francis, for sharing such valuable insight with us this evening, and our tech, Zach. Welcome back for making this show possible. We missed you. From myself, Sumaya Khan, and the team here, we'd like to wish you all the best, and inshallah have a great day tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.